thank you for watching. It's another debate review. I'm going to try to start making my debate reviews shorter, make them more of a highlight reel. Here goes. This was a debate between Kent Hovind and Hugo and Jake. I never heard of Hugo and Jake before. It was hosted by the YouTube debate channel Modern Day Debates. And let's see, the format of the debate was called for interaction. The plan or the format was for them to dialogue and basically talk for almost an hour. Then there was almost an hour of Q&A. And let's see. So here's a summary. One reason I can make this a short summary is there were a lot of points that were repeated, and a lot of things that were points, comments that were repeated by both sides of the debate. One point Kent made is that math is true when it doesn't change. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4, and he was breaking that up because the story of the religion of evolutionism changes a lot. You know, Neanderthal, not human, is human, the Australopithecine, this and that. He pointed out, Kent Hovind has never denied speciation, which some people call microevolution, but it's really too different to honestly call it microevolution. But that being true does not in any way prove macroevolution. For example, a wolf turning into a pug was one example that was brought up in the course of the debate. That is a true fact. The pug probably has a wolf as an ancestor. There probably was a very small number of canines that got off of Noah's Ark, and that were made in the beginning too. But that does not prove that the mosquito and the wolf have a common ancestor. Examples that came up a lot were mosquitoes and whales. Let's see, at one point Ken said, I bet you whales and pine trees are not related. And Hugo said, oh, proven wrong, but he didn't give any proof. He just said proven wrong. Kent Hovind more than one time pointed out that similarities do not prove a relationship, and he gave examples of other things that are similar and it doesn't prove a relationship. For example, tools. He gave several tool examples. He also pointed out that whales and bowling balls are both affected by gravity. Similarity is not proof of ancestor, or of the LUCA, the last universal common ancestor. I think that's what the LUCA stands for. Kent Hovind pointed out complexity is proof of design. Of course. We have never ever seen things come together. They're complex. Crystals come together, but that is just one chemical and it just sits there. Whereas life is multiple chemicals that do things, that move and grow and reproduce. He pointed out that time is the evolutionist god because they say, well, if you give it enough time, we don't see it happening. But anything can happen with time. If you give it enough time, it can happen. He was falsely accused of not really caring about science, or being religious first and then getting into science. But Kent, he was in his teens when he got saved, and so he pointed out that he comes from a family of teachers and engineers, so his family was into science and things like that. When he was growing up, before he hit his teenage years, when he did something that might look like just paying lip service to God, and thought that means that he's clear in the clear no matter what he does. Okay, one thing Kent is honest about is the difference between scientific facts and his religious beliefs. That came up in this debate, and Kent does not claim that proof that there is a God is a certain proof of his God, or the God of the Bible. Now, he does believe there's some good reasons to believe the way he believes about God, but he's honest that you could, that there's still some more steps of proof to go from there is a God to the way Kent believes about it. Somebody in the question and answer section brought up crime scene investigators and whether they do science or not, and Kent had a great answer for that. Of course, they do science. There's different kinds of proofs, but they're the crime scene investigators that try to figure out who murdered who and who did other crimes. The science they do in no way validates all life on Earth having one common ancestor, that an amoeba can, given quadrillions of years, turn into anything other than an amoeba. Kent Hovind pointed out the burden more than once. The burden of proof in this debate, this subject, is on the one claiming they have scientific proof and demanding that thing that they believe and are claiming is scientifically proven be taught in public school science classrooms. Kent is not demanding for his beliefs to be taught in science classrooms. In fact, Kent questions whether we should have public schools, but that's a whole other debate. But since Kent is not demanding his beliefs to be taught in public school science classrooms under the banner of scientific fact, he has no burden of proof. He's just telling us what he believes and inviting us to believe it. Alright, Hugo and Jake. I made a summary of both of them. There was 8 pages of notes about the debate, and I distilled it down into these 2 pages of summary. I'm going to be in trouble if Kent Hovind debates somebody with the same initials that he has, because my method for taking notes is to use the person's initials. KH. Q for question. KH. H and J for Hugo. Hugo and Jake. Alright. Hugo and Jake lost this debate. They didn't actually try to prove anything. So, they didn't even try. They lost by default. They exhibited... I would need to, get complete control of their brain, not to understand what they were thinking, to be certain whether they were being dishonest or stupid about a lot of the things they said. But wow, there was a lot of what might be dishonesty, what might be stupidity. For example, accusing Kent Hovind of using straw men. Specifically because Kent gets charts out of textbooks and puts them up. So that is not a straw man. Accurately quoting what somebody else believes is not a straw man. And at one point Hugo said, "Do you think they just look at those charts and to do science?" Well, he never proved anything other than that. He never proved the chart, what's behind the chart, or what the chart's claiming there. The tree of life charts that have amoeba, single cell animal on the bottom, and everything else in the different branches of the tree. So, it is possible for a drawing to be based on reality and to be based on evidence. Great example. Prosecutors, somebody else brought up CSI in this debate. A prosecutor proving to a jury who did what crime. They might have some diagrams drawn out. Well, those diagrams are because somebody said what they saw. Somebody, there's a picture of somebody. There's some evidence that the drawing is based on. But the tree of life is not based on any evidence. Nobody ever saw something that was a dog to give birth to something that was not a dog give birth to a dog. We've always had dogs. There's never been anything else seen. Well, I'm thinking about that. One of the stupid things they said was science. Kent gave an accurate description of science. Science is what we can learn by observation, by the scientific method. Jake said science is not what's seen. You don't have to see something for it to be scientific. Now, of course, seeing the effects of something is also under Kent's definition of science. For example, radiation. It makes certain chemicals, certain molecules glow. So we can see the result of it. Sun, we don't see we can see the brightness of the sun, but we don't see the individual rays. But we can scientifically say that you will get a sunburn if you stay out in the sun a long time. It's been observed. It's a scientific fact. We saw the results of the sun, even though we didn't see the individual rays. But, Jake, of course science. It's not scientific if nobody ever saw it or saw the results of it. They made the stupid statement, if asking Kent if he's worried that people are going to be prepared for his debates now that he's got so many debates on the internet. And claiming that Aaron Ra corrected Kent Hovind about something. Aaron Ra never corrected Kent Hovind about something. Aaron Ra lied about whether Kent Hovind lied about something. But just accusing somebody of being wrong is not proving them wrong or correcting them. They stupidly claimed microevolution is proof of macroevolution. There's absolutely no difference between, like, a dog turning into a pug and a single-cell animal becoming a mosquito. Wow, that is stupid or dishonest. Of course there's a difference. One is seen, one is just changes of the information that's there. Shorter legs, taller legs, different fur, thickness of fur, color. But microevolution, speciation, has never, like, put a whole lung into an animal that didn't have a lung before. Stuff like that has never been witnessed, but would need to have happened for the religion of evolutionism to be true or a scientific fact. Let's see. Yeah, they claim that when Kent gets charged from textbooks that he's being inaccurate. And they accuse Kent of being dishonest about stuff, but he wasn't being dishonest about things. They stupidly claim that complexity doesn't prove a designer. Well, show me when something complex has happened naturally by random chances, random processes, and then you got a point. Until then, that was a stupid or dishonest thing to say, that something really complex doesn't need a designer. Kent brought up a pencil, and asked if the pencil had a designer. Well, he said, no, yeah, the pencil couldn't have just happened, but something, a life with billions of body parts that move and interact, and billions of cells, and that move and interact. That could have been by random chance. Somebody brought up DNA in the question and answer session. Point out it is a language, and we know language comes from people, from an intelligent being. Language is never just random. Waves on the beach don't spell Johnny loves Susie or whatever messages you might read on written in the sand. And they stupidly said that DNA is not language. And then they did a straw man. People are not saying DNA is language because we use 4 letters of the alphabet to symbolize the 4 chemicals that make deoxyribonucleic acid. No, people say DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid is language because that tells our cells what to do. It tells our cells how to react to certain chemicals, how to process certain chemicals, how tall, short, skin color, nose shape, fur, hair, feather, texture, size, all that stuff, what body parts to have. All that stuff is in our deoxyribonucleic acid, and so it is language because of that. Nobody says deoxyribonucleic acid is language because we use the letter C, G, A, was the H the other one, to symbolize it. Okay. Kent pointed out that there are limits to what we know by science, and there are definitely things that are not physical. And they had a stupidity contest on that one. Love and patriotism. Kent said, well, if you know what love is, then make some for me and put it in a jar. You know, if we really understand everything about love, but of course there's some things that are not just purely random chance. There's something spiritual, not physical, that helps somebody decide to have love or patriotism or something like that. They falsely accused Kent Hovind of dodging or ignoring questions that Kent Hovind thoroughly answered. If there were any questions that Kent Hovind did not answer, it was because they were stupid questions that did not need answering, because they were too stupid. They didn't need answering. They falsely accused Kent of using the appeal to majority. Kent had a studio audience for this debate. Kent never said, everyone raise your hand if you agree with me. The majority agree with me. I win. That would be appeal to majority. Kent was just asking what people's opinions were there. And he did not use it as proof or evidence of him being right. Appeal to majority, that logical fallacy would be everyone else believes it, majority believes it, that's right. But Kent never used that. Okay, other things that happened in debate. They brought up Kent's prison time. But that's an ad hominem. That does not change the subject of the debate. This is not a debate about whether Kent was in prison in the past or not. And like only one time did the moderator jump in and break up the discussion so we could get moving on, or to break it up when they were like starting to repeat themselves. Alright, thank you for watching this debate, another of many debates where Kent Hovind won and thoroughly proved that evolutionism is a religion and does not deserve to be called science or scientific. You have a good day.